Entering basic info for industrial stormwater general permit applications. When applying for an industrial stormwater general permit, you'll input facility information, legal, facility, and invoice contact information, and stormwater discharge information into the Basic Info tab. In the Facility Info section, you'll select or create your facility, just like for the construction stormwater permit application. If your facility or site currently has or had a permit with DEQ in the past, the facility should be in the system and you'll select it from the drop-down menu. If your facility or site has never had a permit with DEQ, you'll go through the steps to create a new facility in the system. Enter the applicant name in the Legal Name section. Note, this must be a legal active name registered with the Oregon Department of Commerce Commerce Corporation Division. The next steps will be to input information for the legal, facility, and invoice contacts. The legal contact for your facility is the person who's legally authorized to sign NPDES permit applications, DMRs, notices of termination, and other reports required by the permit. The legal contact will be a person with a responsible official or RO account in YDO. The facility contact is the person with specific knowledge of the operations under the permit. This contact works at the facility and may be contacted if there's a specific question about the facility prior to inspection. The invoice contact will be the person or legal entity responsible for payment of the annual fee invoice and must be or be part of the same company as the applicant. The last information you'll need to input under Basic Info is the stormwater discharge information. Some things to note are that the receiving water for your facility or site will be the first water body receiving stormwater from the site, and this may be a lake, stream, river, wetland, or other water body, and it may or may not be located adjacent to the site. You'll also need to indicate whether the receiving water is listed on the 303D list as impaired for copper, lead, zinc, pH, iron, or E. coli. So if we go over to the test site, we can go through this together. So here I am again, I'm back on my dashboard. I'm logged into my RO account, and because we did the previous demonstrations using a 1200C construction stormwater general permit application, we're going to have to start a new application for a 1200Z industrial stormwater general permit. So we'll expand the menu from the dashboard, and we'll click Start New Submittal. And we can scroll down here and select Apply for a 1200Z NPDES General Permit. We'll click the Add button, and then we're here on the Basic Info tab, and we'll go through entering the basic info just like we did for the construction stormwater general permit application. So the first step is entering facility information. We saw briefly that if your facility already has a permit with DEQ or had a permit in the past, you can select your facility from a drop-down list. You would click the Select Your Facility radio dial, and then in the drop-down list you'll see your facility. You can search if needed, and then click on your facility to associate it. Alternatively, if your facility hasn't had a permit in the past and doesn't currently have one, you'll create a new facility. So you'll select the Create New Facility radio dial, and then you'll input all the required information. And we'll go through this process just to show you what it looks like. So you'll enter their facility name and all the other associated information, including contact information. Email address and phone number. And then in the mailing address section, again, you'll fill in the required information, which includes address, city, and zip code. Actually, for our facility, the mailing address and the facility location are going to be the same. So we will enter the mailing address. And city. And zip code. And the state is Oregon, but if I did need to change that, I could use this drop-down menu. And then physical location. We're just going to copy and paste the same information. And what you can see is as soon as I start entering information, a Google map is generated. And then the latitude and longitude are populated. So we'll enter the address, the city, the zip code, and if for some reason the latitude and longitude weren't automatically generated, you have to enter that information as well. We'll enter the legal name of the facility. Keeping in mind that the name must be a legal, active name registered with the Oregon Department of Commerce Corporation Division. And if you need information on this, there's a web address right here for you to access. So we'll enter the legal name for our facility, and if your facility has a different common name, you would enter it here in the required field box. If it does not, you would just enter the same as your legal name. You'll indicate if the applicant is the owner of the facility using these radio dials. And then you'll enter your SIC and NAICS codes. For the industrial stormwater general permit application, there's significantly more SIC codes available than there were for the construction stormwater general permit application. So there's a search field here, and you can enter in search terms or SIC numbers if you know them. And then you'll select the primary NAICS code. And again, you can search either by number or keyword. From here, you'll select the facility type description using this drop-down menu. I'm going to select that this is a mixed public and private facility. And then you'll enter your legal contact information, your facility contact information, and your invoice contact information. So again, the legal contact is likely to be the person with the RO account in YDO. So you'll enter first name, last name, email address, and phone number. And you'll indicate the country using the radio dial. Select between the United States and Canada. You'll enter your legal contact's address, including city and zip code. And then you'll enter the facility contact and invoice contact information. Keeping in mind, the facility contact is the person with specific knowledge of the operations under this permit who works at the facility and may be contacted if there are specific questions about the facility prior to inspection. If the facility contact is the same as the legal contact, you can select yes. If not, you'll have to enter this required information: first name, last name, email, phone, address, city, zip. If it is the same and you select yes, the system will automatically populate those required fields, or all of the fields really, with the legal contact information that you entered above. For invoice contact, the invoice contact is the person responsible for paying the annual invoice fees. And if that person is the same as your legal contact, you would click yes. If not, you click no and have to input all this required information: first name, last name, email, phone, address, city, zip. If it is the same, you can click the yes option, and again, the fields will be automatically populated with the information that was input for the legal contact. Under stormwater discharge information, you're going to have to briefly describe the activities that take place on your site that may result in industrial pollutants contaminating stormwater runoff from the site. And then you'll select your receiving water body, or you'll enter your receiving water information by clicking this Add New button, selecting your water body, or entering your water body into this text field. And then entering the associated latitude and longitude. Again, there are these arrows that you can use, but they only go up to whole numbers. And it would take a long time to click 44 times. So I'm going to enter my latitude and longitude manually. And then I'm going to indicate the discharge type. So if my discharge is direct to waters of the state, I would select this radio dial. If the discharge is via municipal storm or sewer or drainage system, then to a water of the state, I would select this. If the discharge was via ditch or other conveyance, then to water of the state, I would select this radio dial. And if the discharge was via irrigation channel or ditch owned and operated by an irrigation district, I would select this option. I'm going to select direct discharge to waters of the state. If I need to delete a receiving water for whatever reason, I can use this delete option. If I need to add an additional receiving water, I would just follow those same steps. Just click Add New. Then this last part, I have to indicate whether or not the stormwater discharges into a Category 5 303D listed receiving water for any one or more of the following pollutants: pH, copper, lead, zinc, iron, and E. coli. I'm going to select No. I have to indicate if the stormwater and if any stormwater analytical data has been collected for the site. I'll say yes. And then, have all stormwater discharge points associated with the industrial activities on your site been evaluated for the presence of non-stormwater discharges not otherwise authorized by this permit or another NPDES permit? Yes. If unauthorized or unpermitted non-stormwater discharges were discovered during the investigation, list the wastewater sources. It's not applicable, so I'm going to leave that blank. Have any leaks or spills or other instances of stormwater contamination occurred at the site within the last 3 years? I'm going to select No. Are there other DEQ water quality permits issued for this site? No. Are you using any stormwater discharge points on site to discharge permitted wastewater? No. I should point out if I select yes here, I would have to list the other permit numbers. Then I'll save this information. And the next step is going to be adding attachments.